All right, today we're diving deep into one of the biggest, most powerful services in the entire AWS machine learning world, Amazon SageMaker. We're going to crack the code on this thing. So let me ask you something. When you're building out an AI solution on AWS, what's that one service that just feels like the final boss in a video game? You know, the one that's super powerful, but maybe just a little bit intimidating to approach.
Yeah, you guessed it. It's Amazon SageMaker. And look, the biggest mistake people make is thinking of it as just one single tool. It's not. The secret is to think of SageMaker as the entire workshop, the whole shebang for building custom ML from scratch.
And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to crack the code on how all these pieces fit together, but maybe even more importantly, we'll figure out when you actually need to reach for it. Okay, so first things first, let's really crack this code and define what SageMaker is at its core. So at its heart, SageMaker is a totally managed platform that covers the entire machine learning lifecycle. I'm talking everything from building and training your models all the way through deploying, monitoring, and governing them in production. So if you're in a meeting and you start hearing phrases like, we need to build custom models, or we need scalable endpoints, or especially MLOps governance, ding, 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 that's your big signal that SageMaker is probably the right play. All right, now let's step inside that workshop and check out some of the key tools on the workbench. These are the specific features that really tell you when SageMaker is the right call. First up, you've got Jumpstart. Just like the name says, if you need a head start on a project, this is your go-to. Think of it as a huge catalog of pre-built, ready-to-go models and solutions. It's awesome as a starter kit or, for grabbing a powerful foundation model and just fine-tuning it with your own data. Next up is the model registry. Now, this is your official governance gatekeeper. It's so much more than just a list of models. It actually catalogs and versions everything. It manages approval statuses, like approved or rejected, and it gives you this perfect audit trail. So if you're in a situation where you need a formal, repeatable process to promote a model from staging to production, this is exactly what you need. Okay, so your model is live. You can't just set it and forget it, right? That's where Model Monitor comes into play. It's basically an automatic lookout for something called model drift. And that's that moment when, the real world inevitably changes and your model's predictions start getting a little off. This is your absolute safety net in production. And speaking of safety nets, let's talk about fairness. That's where SageMaker Clarify steps in. This is the tool for digging in and detecting bias, and for answering that critical question, why? Why did the model predict that? If you have any kind of regulatory or fairness requirements you have to meet, Clarify isn't just nice to have. It's absolutely essential. Okay, so you've built your awesome model. Now you hit a really crucial decision point. How do you actually serve up its predictions to the world? This is all about choosing the right inference engine for the job. And the key here is there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It totally depends on your use case. Are you hearing things like, we need a sub-second response for our app? Boom, that's real-time inference. Or maybe our traffic is super spiky and we're cost-sensitive? That's a perfect job for serverless. Got huge files that take forever to process? Asynchronous is your friend. It gives you a handy queue. And for those big offline jobs on an entire dataset, like running it nightly, that's a classic case for batch transform. So this brings us to probably the biggest question in AWS AI right now. When do you use the full workshop SageMaker versus its newer, simpler cousin, Amazon Bedrock? Let's break it down real simple. You're going to pick SageMaker when you need to do custom model training from the ground up, when you need really fine-grained control over how that model gets deployed, or when you need that full end-to-end MLOps governance we just covered. On the other hand, you pick Bedrock when you just want to grab a powerful foundation model like Claude or Llama and integrate it as fast as possible without worrying about any of the underlying infrastructure. Now, if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, please make it this right here. Bedrock is like renting a power tool. You need a specific drill for a specific job, you rent it, you get the job done, and you return it. Easy. SageMaker is owning the entire workshop. You have every tool imaginable, you can build literally anything, but you're also the one responsible for all the machinery. So let's put all these pieces together. Let's see what a real-world MLOps master plan actually looks like in action. This is the classic storyline. Let's imagine you're building a special model to classify dental documents. First, you train your custom model. Step 2, you log that specific version in the model registry. Then it has to go through a formal evaluation and get approved for production. Once it's approved, you deploy it using the right inference engine for the job. But you're not done. You then set up Model Monitor to watch for drift, and you use Clarify to make sure it's fair and explainable. See? It's a complete, governed end-to-end workflow.
And here's a little pro tip for you, a really powerful pattern. Start thinking in terms of hybrid solutions. Seriously, the best architectures often combine services. For example, you could use a custom SageMaker model to classify that dental document, but then you pass that classification over to Bedrock to generate a nice human-readable summary. You get the best of both worlds, custom prediction and powerful generation.
And that really brings us to the final question I want to leave you with. As you start planning your next AI project, think about everything we just talked about and ask yourself this one simple thing. For this specific job, do I just need to rent a tool, or do I really, truly need to own the entire workshop? Your answer to that question will tell you everything you need to